Small talk is some of my least favorite thing to have to do when I don't know someone or I don't know a group of people very well. Yeah. And sometimes in prayer, it can be hard to realize, like, okay, so I want to pray to God about this situation or about something going on in my life, but how do I start it? How do I break the ice, so to speak, with God? That's what we're talking about today in this podcast. So let's lean in together. All right, Stephen, you are a killer small group leader from what I've heard. I've never been in a small group that you've led, unfortunately, and so I haven't gotten to witness the glories of this.
I've never thought about that. We've never been in a small group together.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. Maybe we need to start a combined men's group or something.
Well, we have staff meeting a lot
together,
together,
that's true. That's true.
Pastors meetings.
But I've heard great things about your men's small group at the Walkertown campus. What's the best icebreaker question you have? I'm going to steal it and use it with my guys. So if any of my guys are listening, when we do this next our group season, pretend like you haven't heard this one. What you got?
Well, first off, I don't really like icebreakers because normally people can tell that you're doing them. You know, they know
it's
like
obvious.
You're just trying to warm
you do
us
the
up.
Awkward, like,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, let's, yeah.
So here's why this was the best one, because no one knew it was coming, and that it was the first week, and this was seasons ago when a lot of us were brand new to the group.
Right.
Like I felt like I was the only one in the room that knew everybody's name. It was that kind of season where mixing it up, but this question, it really is the best one I've ever seen happen. So, in my opinion,
now, did you come up with this or did you steal it?
No, it was the answer. The question is not hard. It's not hard. So I just thought of this. This would be interesting to know, and then I didn't realize like how much revealing it would be. So the question was, and this was with a group of men. So just imagine, a group of men not knowing each other. I just asked the question. All right, let's go around the circle. Tell us your name. And then something interesting about you, which is going to be, what was your first job that paid you? Where did you work for the first time in your life? So some of these guys, I remember, one guy was over 80.
Yeah.
Some of them were in their young 20s. And it was really interesting. Like everyone was leaning in.
Right. Yeah. Hey, we didn't plan that out, but hey, it works.
Towards what these men were going to say. Like everybody's really interested. Like I bet you everybody right now would love to know what was the first job you ever had that paid you. Not like, your mom told you to rake leaves, but like you went and you got hired and you filled out, And so that was really interesting. People were talking about all their and it was a wide variety of stories. And we really got to know one another. So it didn't feel forced. Everyone couldn't wait to go. Once I asked the question, the ice broke.
Yeah. There's always that weird, like, so is it my turn to go now? But no, they were just jumping in and doing it.
So it was great. Good. Everyone got to know each other, and some funny stories came out of that.
That's similar to one that we did. I didn't come up with this. So somebody in my group asked, what was the first car that you owned? And so, of course, with guys, we had a lot of guys that love cars in my men's group. And so that was a good way for us to sort of break the ice.
But I feel like that's an obvious icebreaker, right? Like that's like everybody knows, okay, we're doing this. But but a good question doesn't matter. People want to answer it, and they're going to go. They don't care. It's like, I got an icebreaker question. Just say it.
Yeah, and it worked. It kind of broke the ice for our group, and we joked about all those answers later on. It broke the ice for your group. But with prayer, sometimes you feel like you're not really sure how to get going, other than I need help in this one area, or you're thinking about a situation where there's a struggle or something hard that you've been going through, and you want to just start going, okay, God, I need help, and here's what I need help with. But it almost feels wrong to do that. And especially when you've been listening to a 21 Days of Prayer podcast and they're talking about different ways to pray, and you're thinking, well, I would like to praise God. I'd like to confess some things to God too. And so there's all sorts of like, well, so how can I sort of break the ice when what's really on my mind is this difficult situation that I'm struggling with, or this sickness in my family, or this hard thing that's going on. And I think Jeremiah 12, Verse 1 helps us with that. I'll just read that because it does a great job of kind of showing what we're thinking about today. Jeremiah 12, verse 1 says, "Righteous are you, O Lord, when I complain to you. Yet I would plead my case before you. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all who are treacherous thrive?" And so Jeremiah starts this prayer off, but before he gets to the question, right, the thing he's asking God in prayer is, why are all the wicked people around me? Why are all the people who are bad around me prospering and thriving when he's like, I'm a prophet of God and I'm struggling so hard? Jeremiah is known as the weeping prophet. Like he lived a hard life. And so he's going, God, why is this the case? But before he ever got to that, his first sentence was, righteous are you, O Lord. Righteous are you, O Lord. He's saying, before I start asking God questions that might call into question whether God is righteous or not, whether God is really just, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. I'm going to start this out by saying, God, you're righteous. God, you are righteous. Now that I've reminded myself of that, let me ask the question. So God, why are the wicked? Why are they prospering? And he goes through that. So I think for us, taking that, we can learn a lot from that, kind of breaking the ice with God. And instead of us just going straight to the end of verse 1, we can sometimes, instead of going there, start our prayers with a reminder of God's character that applies directly to that situation you're facing. So whatever situation you want to pray about, whatever question you may have that you're asking, you start with a praise of who God is, a quality or a character trait of God that applies to that situation. So for Jeremiah, it was wondering, like, God, this doesn't seem just. This doesn't seem right. And so before he ever started, he praised God and reminded himself of God's character by saying, righteous are you, O Lord. And so I thought that was a great way to just kind of crack the ice there to get him going before he started praying. I thought, man, we could learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I think this is really important for those times where you have this dedicated prayer time. So oftentimes you're throughout your day and you may just mention something to God. That's great.
Right. Pray without ceasing. Right.
But we're talking about the time where, all right, you're going to sit down in your prayer room or on that couch or the place where you pray and how do you begin and what do you say? And I think about it like this. If you're going to approach somebody and you just walk up to them with your eyes closed, and then you started speaking, it'd kind of be strange. Now, I'm not using that as a metaphor to open your eyes in prayer. What I'm talking about is like, just look at God.
Yeah.
Just look at him.
Right.
And acknowledge just look at it.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, look at the Psalm. Like Psalms do that all the time. They start with David or whoever's writing the Psalm, Moses, whoever it may be, starting with praise and looking at. You can just use that, like, look at God. And then that's once you kind of got like, okay, now I'm talking to this God, the righteous God, the worthy God, the strong God, whoever, you need to remind yourself that God is, then you can go in, prefacing your prayers. Like even most books, I think Bibles have it too, that they have a preface before you ever get to it. Yeah, this Bible has a little preface in here to help you know about what's coming in, the English Standard Version of the Bible. It's like every book has a preface, so maybe, you should preface your prayers with who God is in light of whatever it is that I'm about to pray. So I think that's a great tip for us.
And especially if you're looking for the outcome of the prayer, you're coming to God for reasons. You're hopefully even in effect, you're coming to him with your burdens, your cares, or even just to praise him. But there's an outcome of prayer. And if you acknowledge him, then he directs your paths, as Proverbs 3:6 says. So it's like, seek him, look at him, and he'll show you the way. Rather than just saying, God, tell me the way. Tell me what to do.
Right.
Here's what I need you to do. Like, it's much different posture. And I think God reveals himself and it shows his character, and us to recognize that is super important in our prayers. So just that being a starting point in those prayers is a great place to start, and just see how God changes your heart.
Right. That's a popular verse, Proverbs 3:6. I hadn't even thought of that one yet. The acknowledge him and he will make your path. I hadn't even thought about the idea of acknowledging God. That's a
Proverbs 3:5-6, my life verses.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about that application. But man, for today, let's break the ice with God in prayer. Start with thinking about our situation, whatever it is that you want to bring to him. Maybe it's your prayer list, maybe it's a struggle you're going through. And rather than just diving straight into that, let's think through, who is God? These things that I'm about to pray through, what is it calling into question about my faith? And then let's start thinking and praying and praising God for who he is in light of what we're about to pray, and just see how encouraging that may be for us today.